Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pulse Pro. I'm going to read the script, so just bear with me, and then I'm going to give you an introduction into this new software, which is a fantastic tool bridging the gap of communication between accounting personnel and accounting firms and project management personnel, accounting, general contractors, and architecture firms. So, meet Pulse Pro, the internal management platform that turns what's in your head into something your whole team can see. This whole software platform was developed with that one goal in mind. So often we run into business owners who have lots of information in their head about when things need to be billed, when bills need to be paid, when we need to pay consultants and contractors. And we're eliminating that guesswork and we're eliminating that problem by connecting all the transactions that we're anticipating in a project at the very beginning during the intake process. So Pulse Pro connects directly and securely to QuickBooks Online. No reentry, no duplicate spreadsheets, no exports. It automatically links every job's estimates, purchase orders, bills, and invoices, and shows you exactly where each one stands in real time. So the benefits are never leave money on the table, see exactly what's earned but not yet billed on every job. Pay your contractors on time, every time, before it becomes a problem. And see it all in one place. No more rebuilding reports by hand. This isn't another project management tool. Pulse Pro isn't built for scheduling or dispatch. It's built for one thing, giving your team total financial visibility into every job. So there's all the AI scripting. Let's get into the examples here. And again, this was built as a tool to try to improve on QuickBooks Online's project features. QuickBooks does a lot of things right. I think that the last version of QuickBooks was the worst I ever had. The current version is the best they've ever had. It took me a long time to get used to the functionality and the UI and the graphics, but I really think that they're going in a good direction. Even still, though, the project management tools that they have are just totally lacking, and it's forcing me, frankly, to develop extremely complex processes with tons of tools on QuickBooks, custom reports, and creating sessions that I have to meet with the business owners in order to show them updated information. It's just a nightmare, and I figured, why don't we just try to develop something ourselves? So what do you get when you get into Pulse Pro? The first thing is this dashboard here. It shows you your active projects, your expected profit margins, your portfolio itself. You've got attention feed here, different levels of urgency for different alerts, your active projects, and recent activity. So how does it work? So the very first thing that you do with Pulse Pro is you actually enter the project information, the estimates, the purchase orders, everything that you're anticipating with the project from the very beginning. This is the whole magic behind the model here, the thinking. If we are a type of company that is bidding projects like a construction company, a general contractor, and we're anticipating the subcontractors and the consultants that we're going to hire and pay, what we want to do is link our milestones on our estimate to the milestones on our consultants' purchase orders, and have some kind of logic that says, hey, when this estimate is converted into an invoice and that invoice is paid, that should tell me that I owe a consultant for that milestone. There's going to be different situations where you bill 30% across the board. All right, let's pay all of our subs 30%. Many companies have figured out a good way to do this, but I'm talking about automation. I'm talking about eliminating the meeting and the scratching the head and the trying to figure it out. Let's use logic to come up with a good way to actually link these transactions together. So after adding the project basics, we're going to add phases. Okay, so these are the sub-customers in QuickBooks, the projects. We can name them here, we can add them, we can remove them. And we have our product code. So again, this is linked to QuickBooks. So in these examples, it's just using some sample information, but we're actually able to add our own products. And as we type them in here, like once that you're connected to QuickBooks, you'll be able to see them, on a drop-down list and choose them as actual products. Now, here's the magic. Here's the whole important piece. And this is built after an example for an architecture firm. What we have here is the phase of schematic design, okay? This first section here is a line item from the estimate. So when you sign a contract with your client, you have a breakdown of all of the different aspects of that contract that you're going to bill them for as you reach them in the project. And alongside that, you may have subcontractors or consultants that are linked to that transaction to say, okay, once I've billed for this mechanical design item, and these are the product code examples, I then owe one of these vendors for that same item code. Okay, there could be multiple. You can add as many as you want here, and so that's how you do the linking. Next phase, structural design. Next phase, electrical design. What you'll have here. So once you review, you have an opportunity to review this and then submit it. It actually creates the project, it creates the customer and the different phases in QuickBooks. And what it does is create this opportunity where we can see the progress of each phase. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into the details here, but the thing I want to really highlight is it's all about communication. We can see a lot of information in raw data and different customer reports and things on QuickBooks. But what I'm trying to solve for here with this software is what the client, who is the architecture firm, knows in their head is when something needs to be billed to the client. So when they're in their pre-design phase and they want to bill something that is next on the milestone for their own contract, they can actually come into Pulse and they can request an invoice. And in this case, that phase is already 100% billed. And so it's telling you it exceeds the estimate and you're going to go over the estimate. So we're doing the whole phase here. In a different section where we haven't billed 100%, let's go here and request an invoice. It's going to tell you 40% already billed plus the 25% you want to bill at this request you're going to land at 65%. Okay. You can add a note here to the accountant, and what's going to happen is once you send this invoice request, it's going to show up here, and myself as an accountant or your accountant can come in and approve and draft the invoices. So by clicking this, what this actually does is it'll tell QuickBooks through the API connection, peel off the section of that estimate that we want to turn into an invoice and actually create a real invoice, and that will happen. It's the same thing on the bill side. So let's go to these things here. When we're looking at these different statuses, the product codes, and the items of the invoice, purchase orders, and bills, we have the ability, okay, to sorry, I got ahead of myself here. In my settings, I've turned it on that it's automatic bills. So. And this again is a huge tenet of the whole piece of why this technology is great. When this client invoice 2025-00901, this is an example, when this invoice payment was received, and we sync with QuickBooks and it shows that it's received, that's telling me, because we set up the arrangement of the project before we got started on the new project intake form, that's telling me that I now owe Northwind Mechanical for the linked PO line in this bill for this dollar amount. So if I'm able to, if I'm an admin here, if your admin, you're the firm owner, comes in and approves this, then the accountant can go into approvals and actually push to QBO, which in the same way as the invoices, it will allow this to peel off the section of the purchase order that was created for the vendor in that phase and create a bill. And the bill payment and everything that has to do with QuickBooks, that's all happening in QuickBooks still. But that communication, at least in my experience, has been very difficult to actually communicate. Being able to get these firm owners enough information that they can make those determinations and communicate them in a quick and accurate way to the accounting firm or the accountants who need to take those actions. We also have alerts here. So different levels of alerts are set up automatically that you can actually change in the settings to tell you things like consultant unpaid after client milestone paid. So if you receive a payment on an invoice and too much time has passed since you haven't paid the consultant, it'll let you know. It'll let you know if your billing is ahead of your costs. So, and the flip side as well. So that's the opposite. If you're billing ahead of your costs, you're billing too quickly, it'll also let you know. So outside of alerts, how are we going to be able to figure this out on our own? Well, we have a lot of really great options here for the different kind of reports and how we're looking at reporting. For example, on this project, Riverside Medical Pavilion, we can see the breakdown of the progress of the invoices from the estimates and the bills from the POs by phase, by project, okay? And a lot of these things are still in development. What I'm hoping is that we can get as many people on these systems as possible so we can get feedback into what's working and what's not working. It's very clear that a lot of this is overkill. It's a lot of information, but I tried to do it in a way that you can look at, for example, all projects or choose a project, change the date range, change the paid status, only include invoices, for example, whatever way. And what we don't have included in here yet is actually saving reports and saving views, which would be very helpful, I think, in different circumstances. But as much as possible, creating opportunities to display information that help business owners make decisions. That's the biggest thing. And QuickBooks has completely swung and missed on that in the project module. They do it well, in some respects. Our landscaping clients love it, but I just find it's not enough information. So we went through the billing request, we went through the bills to pay, we saw the reports and some of the alerts and the dashboard. And so we also have this visual tab. This is, the same information as the overview, but it's a little bit less granular and complicated. This is sort of a visual. You should be able to, as a business owner, look at this and say, okay, what's past due? This bill. It looks like the invoice is paid. It looks like we created the PO into the bill and it's overdue. And this is green here, meaning the invoice is paid, so we owe the money on those bills. I'm hoping in the future we can add functionality where we can actually click into those bills right here and request that they be added to the bills to pay. If they're, probably already are, but automatically with my settings. But a really great view here. We have the alerts related to that project. We have some financial information related to that project, the billing request, which we saw here. We also have the change order functionality. So if there's, an opportunity to bill more during the course of a contract with a client, you can actually add a change order, which will create a new estimate, and that'll add it to the project as well. All of the transactions related to the project here, again, as much filtering and adding and taking away as possible here, trying to make it so that we can quickly click into these projects and see the information that we're looking for quickly. And I'm going to make a note as I'm going through this tour right now, actually, that saving views is going to be one of my big development areas coming up here. So additional reports, the ability to save reports, to export them as Excel and PDFs, gross margin by item code, gross margin by phase. Where are we at with design development? Are we making money or are we losing money? Hopefully we're always making money on our projects. And if we're losing money, then we should be able to click into it and say, why? What is it? Which item? Which product code? Was it the construction documents? Was it this? Was it that? Let's look at the bills and the bill payments related to these different parties, these vendors here, the consultants. And just by clicking around, you should be able to figure out where we're lacking, or where we're ahead. So anyway, that is the overview, the introduction, the long introduction into Pulse Pro, the newest software product to come out of Walters Accountancy Corporation. We hope that people get in there and find the bugs, find the weaknesses, and recommend and give us feedback and recommend new features and updates as much as possible. Because as an accounting firm, we are in there with our clients. We see these intercompany challenges on a daily basis, and we're actually involved in them, and we're involved in improving them and making these decisions. And so we have a really unique viewpoint into what goes into this software and why it needs to be there and why it's helpful. And so I'm just excited to introduce this as a potential solution to firms. And I'm looking forward to getting your guys' feedback. And thanks so much for listening and looking into this. I hope we can be a solution to you. Take care.